Welcome back to the Cutty and Govy show. Govy, how you doing, buddy? Big day after the debate. We're here to talk about it, and we're going to have some fun today. And I had to wear this suit today for something work event, but I am in actual mourning for Donald Trump because he got creamed so bad. I'm waiting for the phone call from Fox News because I said, Donald, don't debate this woman. And he debated her. I said he will be unhinged, and he was completely unhinged. He lost his mind. I just can't. Well, let me just say this, and then I want your opinion, Govy. Govy and I are originally from Philadelphia. The star basketball player was Allen Iverson. There was a great clip, where he goes on TV, he says, I don't practice. I don't need practice. Well, the truth of the matter is, Allen Iverson didn't need any practice. It was his teammates around him to see how he was passing the ball. It was the coach and his interaction. Donald Trump said, I don't need to prep for this debate because I do rallies. I know all the answers to the questions, and I'm sure he does. The problem is he didn't know how to deal with a snarky woman that was going to make faces and make lies and attack him. He didn't know how to deal with David Muir and the crazy questions that David Muir would ask. If I was prepping Donald Trump, and I know you're fired up, Govy, you look like you're ready to jump off of that chair. But if I was prepping Donald Trump, the first thing I would say is get in David Muir's face right off the bat to set the stage. You're going after this guy to be crooked ABC. Don't screw with me tonight. And that's what I would have said on the January 6th question. I would have said to David Muir, David, I'm under a gag order. I can't talk about January 6th. How dare you ask me that trick question? You're trying to get me in trouble. Anyway, Govy, I know you watched that debate with great anticipation, and your guy got creamed.
Look, it was a little disappointing. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I want to say where Donald Trump made several mistakes. First thing is when you look
he showed up. That was his
when
first
you look
mistake.
at Donald Trump and you see him and he does debates or anything he does, you get a feeling of if you ever watched a movie. And, I don't like gory stuff. So if you tell me I'm watching somebody that, someone might get a needle in the eye or there's a surgical scene and someone's doing surgery, I don't like to see blood and guts. I actually cover my eyes.
Yeah, I do that too.
Well, I feel like with Donald Trump...
Like a stabbing in a movie.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't even sense when it's coming. I kind of don't...
Yeah, I'm with you. I like that.
Well, Donald Trump's debate performance, I always feel like I'm on my seat and I'm like, please don't go down this thing because you're like, don't take the bait. Don't take it. They're getting it. And then he does it. And the first thing he should have done during this preparation, which he didn't do,
he didn't prep.
He could, and this is easy stuff. First thing he could have known is you got to know where you're going, and it was ABC News. So the first thing I would do is the panel before you walk in there is that Jonathan Carl. It's Donna Brazile. They had the panel before it starts. The first thing I would have done is I would have looked at Donna Brazile. Now, she was the woman who gave the questions to Hillary Clinton during the debate in 2016 between Trump and Clinton. She got caught. She admitted it. Now, if you got caught giving the questions to somebody, is that the person you need to see as soon as you walk in the thing? ABC could have had anybody on that panelist. Get her out of there. The second thing, David Muir's partner that was asking the questions with her. She's a sorority sister of Kamala Harris. A sorority sister. They could have chosen anybody else with David Muir, but no, they choose Kamala Harris's sorority sister. The head of ABC News is Kamala Harris's best friend.
Sounds like a rigged deal here.
Well, you got to know this going in.
Yeah.
So So Donald Trump could have walked into this debate, and the first thing he could have said is, David, I wasn't really happy seeing Donna Brazile there because we know she gave the questions to Donald Trump. I also don't like that the person sitting next to you, she's a sorority sister to this. Also, you give 100% positive feedback to Kamala Harris, you give me 93% negative. So let's begin this debate knowing that the cards are against me. And then as soon as the first question came, the very first question, and they said, are you better off now before the debate? And when she didn't answer the question, Donald Trump could have said, David, I want to give a minute of my time to Kamala Harris. Great idea. A minute of my time to Kamala Harris so she could answer that question. Unless you know the answer. Can you tell me what she said? What was the answer, David, that you got from that? Was it because it was a yes or no question? What did she say?
I think that Donald Trump's handlers didn't prepare him properly. They should have said to him, Donald, look, we're going to have fun tonight. You know what we're going to do? You have two enemies in this room. You have Kamala Harris and you have David Muir. So right away, we're going to besmirch and embarrass ABC as crooked media, bad media, blah, 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 and go after David Muir. And that way you set him back, a foot or two. But I think your idea is great. When the first question, when Kamala Harris said, well, I grew up in a middle-class house and blah, 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 I think Donald Trump should have looked over at her and said to David Muir exactly what you're saying. When I'm looking at this clock here, I have 2 minutes. Take a minute of my time, Kamala, and finish your answer because you didn't answer.
Right.
You didn't tell anybody what you were going to do.
Or say to David, so what was the answer, David? Can you share it with
Exactly.
And then once you give David a little gut punch, you saw that they fact-checked Donald Trump like 5 times. By the way, a couple of the times, Trump was not all wrong on some of the stuff. They never fact-checked her. By the way, the New York Post came out with all the questions. The Charlottesville thing, that was easy. The Project 25 thing.
But can you believe that she was able to get that he took the bait so easily and just I think they had his microphone on louder too, so when he spoke he sounded like he was screaming.
Could be but the thing when they talked about the rally, when she said people leave your rally, just let that go.
So let's have a little fun here. Let's stay on that subject,
okay.
Govy. Okay, so you play Donald Trump, I'll play David Muir. Mr. Trump, we hear people are leaving your or Kamala says, we hear people are leaving your rallies early. How do you respond to that? What would your answer been?
Well, you can say that I can't say everybody, not a few people do leave actually because they do get there 14 hours before I speak. So they're sitting there, they're partying, they're drinking, they're excited. So, they have watched my rallies on TV that, so they kind of know what's going on. They want to be a part of something. Has anybody ever left the football game in the fourth quarter when you're up by 30 points? Or does everybody stay until the end of the game? Because sometimes people leave a little early. They want to beat traffic. There's a lot of reasons.
But his responses are too long. He should just give, like the abortion issue. I mean, when they talk to him about abortion, my response would have been about abortion. Look, it's in a better place now. One size doesn't fit all. It's back in each state. Minnesota's different than Florida, than California. The people are different. Their mindset is different. Let each state decide how they're going to treat abortion. But he went on and on. The 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th month, live babies. Because is that true? Live babies, they can abort?
In Minnesota, they've had it 5 times, 5 different times.
This is disgusting.
A baby has been born in Minnesota 5 different times that they have ended the life within hours after, it was a botched abortion.
But why doesn't he just keep his answer short and tight?
Because I think part of his biggest problem,
his ego.
Well, that's one. But part of his biggest problem is when he's debating, he's on go the whole time. Like he is on this agenda. He doesn't listen. So when you're giving a debate, all he's thinking about is what subjects he wants to bring. Because if they asked him is the sky blue, he will turn around and say, the border's wide open, because that's what he wanted to talk about. He wanted to talk about the border, so he's not listening to the question. For instance, when Kamala Harris, when he said to her, there's something like in the Democratic Party, you're okay with an abortion in the 7th and 8th month. How do you feel about that? Well, she didn't answer. But he didn't listen to her answer, because if he would have listened that she skated the issue, he could have said, David, I want to know the answer. Is she okay with an abortion?
So the fight, he should have been fighting with David Muir too.
But he also doesn't listen. Whatever Kamala Harris is saying to him, right, he's not listening to the response. He's only worried about getting out his message. But there's dialogue back and forth. He has to listen to what her response is, because when she doesn't answer, he could say, hey, Kamala, this is a big issue. Are you okay with an abortion in the 7th or 8th month?
So, Govy, I'm going to ask you another question.
I'm playing Donald Trump.
Yeah, right? You're playing Donald Trump. Your father gave you $400 million. What's the story here? When she said your father gave you $400 million.
Well, first of all, he didn't give me $400 million.
Why do you even have to say that? Why defend it?
You don't even have to. And you want to know something? There's a lot of people out there whose parents and friends, they don't have to give anything. You know what they could do? They could go up to a bank and they could have a relationship with someone. And they say, you know what? Can you look into my friend? Maybe you want to give him a loan. You know, you can maybe say, I'll stand behind the loan, where I'll guarantee the loan. Because if you know the fiber and it's your child, right, and if I said to the bank and I wanted it to go through a bank, I could go up to a bank and say, I would like to give $1 million loan to my daughter. I will back it. I'll guarantee it. As long as they're looking at me, they will give the $1 million to my daughter. Now, is that something that would be unfair?
Well, I think, but I think he should have said, yeah, my father didn't give me quite that much, but he gave me a lot of money. And you know what I did, Kamala? I built billions and billions of dollars worth of business.
And hired thousands of people.
And created 50,000 jobs.
Right.
How many jobs have you created in your life? You're trying to become president of the United States, the biggest company in the world. It has a $6 trillion budget, and you have no business experience. I created 50,000 jobs. And I have I failed, some of them failed, but many of them were big successes. I'm not going to run away from my failures, but I'm also not going to run away from my successes. And I created jobs. I signed the front of checks. I didn't sign the backs of checks. All you keep saying is you're a prosecutor. Well, how does that qualify you to run the biggest company in the world, the United States of America?
Well, I agree. He could also have turned around and said to her, I just want you to know, you are behind the biggest coup in the history of the United States. Tell me how that this first debate was the earliest debate ever. Why did CNN have such a fair debate? Maybe it's because they wanted to throw Joe Biden to the wolves. Maybe the master plan was to get rid of Joe Biden. You have all the votes already, all the primary electors, and you could run. You're part of a coup. A coup is taking place in the United States right now that you didn't win one primary, not one vote, and you're up here and you haven't given a policy yet. You haven't given an interview.
The funniest thing, I would have attacked her when she said, I'm going to give $50,000 tax deduction to new businesses. Excuse me, America. Do you know any new startup business that needs a tax deduction? Maybe 1 out of 1,000 make money the first year that they're going to need a $50,000 write-off. I mean, it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Who's going to make money in a startup business? Let's say you're starting a restaurant. You have to borrow millions of dollars. You buy tables, chairs. You put a kitchen in. How are you making money?
Well, did she come up with the thing that she wanted to tax you on gains that you haven't received yet?
Yeah,
that's another genius move that she came up with.
But let me ask you this question, because this is the one that really got me fired. But, listening to TV, I think Donald Trump's closing statement was good. We'll get to that. But let me ask you, when he turned to Kamala Harris and he said, look, I took a bullet in the head for democracy, to make America great again, and you caused it. You created it. Do you think he knows something? You know, this guy from the CIA and the head of the Secret Service, they're all retiring now, so they don't have to testify. They cremated this guy in 5 days. They power washed the roof in 1 day. I mean, what happens if Donald Trump died? God forbid.
If he didn't turn his head.
If he died, we would never know anything because they cremated. Would they have cremated the guy in 5 days if he died?
Yes. This would have been.
This stinks.
Right.
And now Melania is running out and saying, you know, all this nonsense.
She's saying what Donald Trump can't say. That it stinks from high heaven if it, it smells. And
so do you think Donald Trump, when he made that comment to Kamala Harris, he knows something?
Yes.
About
Donald Trump
shot him?
Donald Trump, when he does say things on a lot of things, he does know. He does have information. I want to go all the way back. When Donald Trump got impeached because of Ukraine and asking Zelensky, did Joe Biden do anything illegal with Burisma? He knew. He knew Hunter Biden, and he knew Joe Biden was on the take. He got impeached for something that he did know. He did know that Joe Biden, if you notice, he lied. He kept saying, I know nothing about my son's stuff, nothing about it. Meanwhile, his son pleaded guilty to the situation. Does Donald Trump think and know maybe that the CIA was involved, maybe in eliminating him? Yeah.
Well,
I think he does.
Yeah, I said this to you before. I'll say it oh my God, our reels are blowing up. We have like 300,000 views on our reels. But I will say this to the audience here. When you're president of the United States, every morning at 8:30, 9 o'clock, you have an intelligence briefing where they slide across the desk in the Oval Office a folder that talks about all this dark James Bond guys all over the world in the Middle East killing people, assassins and, crazy people that evidently the United States has out there, doing crazy things. Donald Trump knows all that stuff. It's the presidential book of secrets is out there, all that stuff. When he makes a comment, did you have something to do with that? It's a little different than Govy and Cuddy saying maybe he had something to do.
100%.
He has all that knowledge of all the secret stuff that the United States government does.
The problem with Donald Trump is, with this knowledge he has, he then skirts an issue that's a little far-fetched. For instance, during the debate, he mentioned Springfield, Illinois, Ohio. And in this part of Ohio, there is 1/3 the population now. 1/3 the population is Haitian, all within the last 2 years. This is a blue-collar city that lives hand-to-mouth, paycheck to paycheck. They can't afford all the Haitians that are there right now. Matter of fact, they were saying that the people that they were in, it's a dystopia that's like taking place right now. That's going on. It's a nightmare. He could have said that, but instead he chooses to go down the road of they're eating cats, they're eating dogs. You know what? You didn't need to say that.
She got him under her skin.
But you
got
know
him
what?
too crazy.
But you
couldn't
know who
think straight.
But you know who put that in his head? Vance, his vice presidential pick, is the one who gave him that thing. Now, is it true? Yes, one person did eat a cat. One. They did. But the problem is, he had to make that like the shock theory.
Yeah.
Why not just say that 1/3 the population of a town in Ohio is taking on a bunch of Haitians that only speak Creole. They don't speak Spanish. So the schools can't teach them. They don't know what to do with them. They don't know what to do with the kids. So it's great to take on a bunch of people that need help. Because Haiti is a piece of crap. But what do you do with them when they're here? You need a plan. You can't just say to these people, "Oh, run the streets."
Well, this is where
something.
I think Harris smoked him because she knew she had 2 minutes. So that worked in her favor because of the 2 minutes, 15 seconds, she discussed policy. The other minute and 45 seconds, she discussed fluff.
Right.
Where in Donald Trump's case, he had 2 minutes, and for a minute 45, he went off the rails on immigration and bringing the people in, and they're the worst killers and murderers.
Do you think he repeats?
rapists.
Do you think he repeats himself?
And they're killing people and murdering people and but I mean, he just was off the rails. And I think, this is my theory, I think whatever junk they gave Joe Biden for the State of the Union address, how they juiced him up, Trump was on that last, for the debate 2 nights ago.
I don't know. I'm just lucky that Donald Trump doesn't repeat himself, because that would be a problem.
Oh my God!
I mean, it is enough. It's a sickness that he repeats himself over and over and over. Matter of fact, his closing statement he said 4 times in there.
Well, his closing statement was great.
It was great, but
He just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it, and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like, we're not going to frack, we're not going to take fossil fuel, we're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they laugh. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
And you've been there 3.5 years. What have you done?
But by the way, he could have hammered that all debate, because she kept trying to make like, we need change, we got to go forward, we can't go backwards. Hey, she's been there for 3.5 years. And I love the line when he said, go wake up Joe at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and see what he's doing. Because the question is, where is Joe Biden right now? He has 6 months. He has 6 months of still being president. Like he said, she could go down right now and do an executive order and close the border. She has that power. So why isn't she closing the border? She is the president.
She doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run.
Essentially, she's the president.
Yeah, I think Donald Trump should have said, look,
you're in charge.
Not only that, we just pissed away $1 trillion on these 20 million immigrants. We spent $250 million on this Ukrainian war. So here we are, $1.250 trillion. We could give every gym and music teacher in a school a gun. We could hire security guards to protect our kids in all these schools, and we'd still have $1 trillion left over. I mean, we're just pissing money away like crazy on this immigration thing, and nobody's telling us why it's happening. And he didn't attack David Muir, and he didn't attack Kamala for this immigration. He just kept talking about,
he needed
the murderers, the killers, the mental cases.
He needed to punch David Muir in the face in the very beginning, because then David would have changed. Once David saw that he had freedom, he kept going. I mean, when he made a comment like, if you're Jewish, you shouldn't be voting for Kamala Harris, and David Muir asked him a question, Kamala Harris, what would you do with Israel? How would you end this war? When she gives some poor answer about, well, Palestinians are good people too, and the Israelis have a right to defend, she didn't say anything. I would have said, if I'm Donald Trump, Just tell me, what is your game plan? It's 345 days that you got Jewish and Americans living in a shithole tunnel. What is your plan? Tell me. You're working around the clock. If you're working around the clock to get them out, just tell me what you talked about last night. Who's working around the clock? Joe? He's not working around the clock. Just tell me who's working around the clock so I could call them and ask, what have you come up with today? That's a lie. You're not working around the clock.
Well, I mean, when they asked him the question, you said she was black, then she was Indian, and all of this. He had a great answer to start with. He said, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. And he should have stopped there. But he went on. He said, well, they asked me, I don't know if she's black or she's... I mean, he just can't... Anyway, me personally, Gavi, I'm going to ask you, are they going to have a second debate?
Yes.
You think so?
I do. I think she's going to need. I think she needs to debate, and the reason why she needs.
Why should he do it?
Why should she do it?
Why should he do it? Why should he have?
He needs to do it to save face.
But he can't control himself.
Because he could do much better against her now, understanding the opponent. It's like losing to someone, and you can come back, and now he knows what the deal is. She needs to do it because she needs to get her ideas, win or lose, getting across. I mean,
who won?
Who won the debate? She won the debate because he went off the things. As far as did it move the needle on the independents? Independents, actually, he got stronger because she didn't answer the questions.
He needed to make her cry. He needed to crush her. And he didn't do that. But she got through the debate.
But again, as we're talking about the moderators...
I switched. I'm back to Harris.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm going to just say one thing. When you see the moderators were in the tank for Kamala Harris and ABC and the network, everything is orchestrated. So now, right after the debate was over, I mean, within an hour after the debate, Taylor Swift announces that she's backing Kamala Harris. And she gives her reasons. Do your research, this. Do you know one of her reasons was? One of her reasons was IVF. That she is for IVF. So, if she listened to the debate, if she really listened to the debate, Donald Trump said, I'm for IVF. Matter of fact, I'm backing it.
He'll pay for it.
He'll pay for it. So, if you're listening to Donald Trump, he's 100% behind it. He's willing to pay for it. And she comes out and says, the reason why I'm backing Kamala Harris is because of IVF. Now you got to sit there and say, why would she do that? And then you say, who owns Taylor Swift's music? Who owns her music?
George Soros.
George Soros. Who does George Soros back?
He backs all these Palestinians.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah, everybody.
His son is dating...
Huma Abedin.
Clinton.
Right.
So, I mean, every little thing is in... I mean, it's like enough already.
The difference is Taylor Swift has 300 million followers that are going to listen to her between the ages 7 and 17. Oops, none of them vote.
I think it was a mistake on her part. Do you think it was a mistake?
Of course it was a mistake. Why is somebody jeopardizing their career? Because George Soros told her she had to do this.
But she has nothing to gain from it.
Zero.
Nothing to gain from it.
Zero.
She could have said, do you know Patrick Mahomes? He comes
Brittany,
out.
His
You know
wife.
what he said? You know what he bet? No, but Patrick Mahomes came out and said, I'm for everybody going out and voting.
Good.
I'm not telling you who I'm voting for or whatever. It's up to every single person. We have a right to vote. I just think it's important to get out and vote. That's all Taylor Swift had to say.
Huge career mistake, because if Kamala Harris, if she wins and she comes out with a progressive, crazy, way left agenda, I mean, Taylor Swift is now tattooed with that the rest of her career. I mean, it's a big mistake.
It's a turnoff. A lot of people are going to turn that off. But, it reminds me of...
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I am. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Up at the golf course, Trump's golf course, where, we have many very, very famous people besides, the obvious.
Besides you.
Right. No, we have many famous people. I can't say their names, but they never... are one of the deals. You can't photograph them. None of them want to be tied to Donald Trump. They enjoy the golf course because it's the best, in the state
And they're
of
friendly
Florida.
with him. They like him.
They like him. They enjoy his company, but they don't want anybody to ever say. There's one guy who's very famous. Last year, it came out in the paper. He's a member there in Mar-a-Lago, and he stopped going there. He hasn't been there in a year. So I think that's Taylor Swift. I think Taylor Swift made a huge mistake by getting involved in this where she doesn't belong.
A lot of entertainers do, and a lot of people don't really know about the entertainers.
Well, George Clooney did because his wife made him.
Right, and also he's involved a little bit, and he's married to his wife. But I'll give you an example. Do you remember the show The West Wing?
Yeah.
Do you know who played the president? It was Martin Sheen.
Right.
Okay, so everybody's now asking Martin Sheen, who do you like in this selection? Because they think he's this authority figure. Do you know Martin Sheen's education?
What?
He dropped out in 10th grade. He dropped out in 10th grade. The guy's a D student. The guy he can act. He's
He's successful.
He's a brilliant actor.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean he's a guy that should tell you how to run an economy, foreign affairs. He's not that type of guy. Taylor Swift, like I said, right after the debate, the first thing she puts down is, IVF. Well, then you know what? She would have failed in school. I don't know if she goes to school. I don't know anything, but I got to tell you something. Comprehension? She's not really that good at comprehending.
So are you buying this conspiracy theory that this Travis Kelce and her is a fake deal? They're not.
No, they're 100% real, and they're going to get married. I don't care. They're getting married. They're not breaking up. They're getting married and they're having a kid. No, she loves them, and you know what? They're good for each other. And welcome back. I happen to be here with my partner Cutty, but he's so hot that his mic went out on him. So I'm here solo right now to end up this show, and I want to do it. We were talking about Tyreek Hill. We have a lot to talk about, but we'll get back to him later. Real important, I have some football picks I want to give. Last week I ended up splitting. Again, I told you about Temple University. They keep losing. Doesn't make a difference. They happen to be an 18-point underdog to Coastal Carolina University this week. Again, take Coastal Carolina University. Take the Pitt Panthers minus 2.5. Take the Pittsburgh Steelers minus 2.5 over the Denver Broncos. Take the Washington Redskins minus 1.5 over the New York Giants. Indianapolis Colts minus 2.5 over Green Bay. Baltimore minus 8.5 over the Raiders. Buffalo tonight minus 2.5 over Miami. And for some other picks for Saturday, some special picks, Appalachian State minus 2.5 over East Carolina University, and the Houston Cougars minus 5 over Rice. Last week I lost two tough games. I lost the Buffalo Bills by 0.5 point, and I lost the Kansas City Chiefs game where the little toe was out by half a thing. Other than that, we split. I'm ready to get into it. I also have one other thing to push. Night Owl sponsor. This is a supplement that you take that if you're drinking at night and you need a little pick-me-up, electrolytes, which is very important. So if you're drinking, at the end of the night, throw one of these packets into a little bottle of water. You will not have a hangover. If you're working out and you're on a treadmill and it's better than Gatorade. You just throw it in. You don't have to carry a bottle. You just empty this in it, and it works like a charm. It's called Night Owl. This is orange zest. You can go online. You can buy it there. Night Owl. Absolutely, I recommend it. This is going to be a winner. So again, shout out to Night Owl. Great product. And we'll see you next week. Again, Cuddy was just so uptight. He blew out his mic, and I'm here left to end the show. But we'll see you next week. We have a lot going on, and we'll take care. See you next week. Bye.